recording.
Okay, so Christina's egg beater journey here. So as we looked through this, one of the things I was hoping for was not having the egg beater appear so dramatically right on the cover and centered. And then as I got to the second image, I wasn't sure about this on the left, what was happening there, if the egg beater is like falling off of something, but maybe not including that image, that square. But I definitely am, throughout the whole piece, I did feel a sense of a visual sequence, and that apparently the pieces are coming apart in each of these spreads. I felt that there wasn't a lot of visual surprise. And, this is very much almost like a flip book. Like I knew exactly what was going to happen as I saw this. This was a surprise on the left,
Mm-hmm.
but everything is, really clinging to the bottom on all of these. And the marks are all the same weight and more or less the same size. So I got a little lost in that, and I longed for a little bit more visual surprise and a little bit more of a, I guess, a sound to happen. It just kind of went very, very evenly. And then I got a little confused at the end.
Yeah, I agree. Like these three, almost these four, felt like a flip book, like you said. But then after this one, like from this one to this one, I also got a little lost. I mean, I understand that it breaks apart, but I don't know. I feel like there was a disconnect there.
Yeah, because
But
I was pretty psyched when that egg beater character
mhm,
showed up, but then what happened?
yeah.
And again, I would encourage you to try a larger scale, and think about filling the page in different ways, and having our eye travel in a way other than just this linear, again, almost like a flip book sequence. And that was Christina's. And our next column will be Nate. And Nate's also, I felt, as I looked through this, that it was a repetition, a lot of the same shape through these. And then it's kind of like this zooming in and out, and then it disappeared, and then it came back. I think you can do more with your visual sequence as well. Even here at the end where it turns finally, but it feels like you're taking advantage of the spread by just having the egg beater fill the whole spread. And then it fills the whole spread again. And then it gets a little bit smaller, and then a little bit smaller. And then by the time we get to what appears to be spread number 7 or page 7, I can't tell from here, right there, something happens. But then the next one after this, it's back to being this large piece again. So I think the idea of sequence was perhaps lost on this.
Yeah. And I also feel like he also got a little bit stuck with just representing the egg beater as itself instead of decomposing it, um, and abstracting it a little bit. So that would have been helpful. Like here, that happens a little bit, but then we come back again, and I can still
Yeah.
understand this as an egg beater.
Yeah, I would encourage you again. What I get in like the first 5 to 6 is basically just this, again, almost like a flip book of zooming in on this thing, and it's receding into space, but not much else is happening. And so I yeah, I get a little confused by the narrative, and I would in fact take advantage of more croppings, more abstraction, and less of the repetition of the same image. Next, we have Nicole, and love to see these egg beater images. Oh, I think this is probably a different assignment.
Really? Oh, I mean, it was in the
Um,
sequence one. Oh, maybe she
Oh,
posted all of it.
must be.
I can't really tell if this is the sequence or what.
It
I feel
must
like it
be.
might be.
Yeah, it's confusing, but let's start from her beginning, which
Okay.
appears to be when the marker kind of starts, I guess.
Yeah. Okay,
I
right
think
here.
those are all sketches. Yeah, I would skip over that.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the size, although that is still doesn't look quite square. Okay, so okay, yeah, here we go. Here's a spread. So I think overall, with yours, Nicole, I'm just a little confused about your sequencing. What I appreciate are some of these wonderful croppings, but like for that, I don't know what these spreads have in terms of relation to each other. And then sometimes like this, like, yeah, I'm having a hard time. And then this next one appears to be 2 images. So that is a spread. And then I feel like they go single to double. It's hard for me to tell. So what I might recommend here, okay, so that was a double spread. Maybe I'm not getting it. Can you check the media information on these? Maybe
Oh, yeah.
in the beginning it will, and maybe stop recording just to see, because there's.
Okay.
Okay, Nicole, after some super sleuthing, we have determined under the caption, story starts here. However, we've seen that on a different slide as well. So my advice for you is rather than spend an enormous time commenting on this and questioning it, is I would love for you to submit another document with the actual sequence. And yeah, I guess here we go, 8, 9. No, that makes sense what she did. Okay, I think if you start with where you started this time.
I think it was this one. No. Here. This one? I mean, there's
guess.
2.
Okay, again, we'll just look at what you have here and hopefully give you helpful feedback. So yeah, if we can scroll through these. Yeah, okay, so here we are, Egg Beater 2. Again, I feel like what you're doing is you're zooming in on something, and I'm curious about the relationship on this spread, like what's happening in the middle. Well, I think what I feel, Nicole, actually now that we're going at it, slower and we have an idea of your visual story, I feel more of a relationship from in the spread than in the like something that comes before it. Like this feels like, okay, there's a great relationship there. And then we go to this one.
Yeah, like they make sense within each spread, but not as a whole accordion. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And I think it appears as though you're doing the whole thing by hand. I could be wrong, and that could add another challenge. Can you go to the next one? Well, no, that's done digitally. And then we end with the zoom in. I think for me, one, and this is going to sound sort of contradictory, but I appreciate your abstraction very much so. I do feel like the story just kind of, it jumps around a bit for me, and it happens the most where there's that pattern. If you can click on that one, yeah. That's the one that really throws me because it feels completely disconnected from the others, as opposed to having like forms that might relate to what came before it. But that to me is really extraordinary, just in terms of abstraction, the way you're leading me in and out of the story, I think is really quite beautiful. And again, sorry, we weren't really clear in the beginning there, but you did a lot of sketching, which is actually quite smart. And I think Lindsay doesn't have one. So we will close out the columns just by saying, we did the other three, correct? Yes. Just by saying, I would encourage you to all think about this project as a precursor to what I'll be asking you to do with typography. And so that you're thinking about how does a, spread, how do the two, sides of this spread relate to each other, but then how does that relate to what's coming? And how do you guide us through this, either with or without a grid? And it is an abstract exercise. So hopefully it will help you as we move forward with your grid sequencing.